If you're struggling with your mental health, can't or won't go to the local church but are interested in Jesus, these videos are for you. In Matthew chapter 4, verse 10, Jesus says, "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." And this is on the back of Jesus fasting and spending time with God in prayer and focus. And Satan has been tempting him. And the latest temptation was to say to him, Look at the entire universe, the entire world. I will give this all to you. And Jesus says, beat it. Get away from me. I'm supposed to worship the Lord, your God, and serve him only. And that's, again, Jesus setting the example for us. I mean, nobody's coming along and saying to you, hey, I'll give you the whole world. You know, nobody's offering that. Nobody can offer that. But for that moment, I believe absolutely that, well, partly Satan might be trying to deceive, but there was a possibility that Jesus could do that. And because if he couldn't, it's kind of like, yeah, well, I suppose it doesn't really matter whether Satan could or not. I think what really matters actually is that the offer is so audacious, so for most of us it would be so overwhelmingly tempted, and we might think, oh no, I don't want that. You know, think ourselves as the people, oh, if I won 10 million, I wouldn't know what to do with it. But honestly, if somebody offered you the whole world, the temptation would come in to think about all the things that the conversations you've had where you think you could do things better, where you could make the world a better place, and you could get rid of this and you could get rid of that. Do you not think these rich, powerful people have already thought of that? I mean, that's the whole thing here, and Jesus has been offered everything. And again, it's one of these mysteries about what Jesus knows, what Jesus doesn't know. You have to remember that Jesus was in a physical body. He's been tempted. He is exhausted, probably hot, starving, and really struggling in his body. And to be offered everything would be an incredible temptation, but not for Jesus. It does say that Jesus was tempted in every way, but that he did not succumb. Right, so back to this, nobody's offering you the world, but temptation comes along as an offer of something that would just make things a little bit easier. It's almost always a short-term gain, a short-term positive that we might perceive as being a positive. But the disaster if Jesus had followed through with that and said, right, okay, yeah, I'll do that, then there'd be no salvation for us, because, like I said, his whole mission was to come and to die for us. All the more reason to be amazed at the fact that he resisted the temptation. If he knew that ultimately one day he was going to die and take on the sin of the world, then it'd be pretty tempting to avoid that. But he chose to avoid it. He chose to avoid the temptation of ruining not only his mission, but our lives for eternity. But here's the important bit. Away from me, Satan. That's how Jesus dealt with it. You know, people are going about the power of positive thinking, and there is a lot of truth in it, I suppose, right? But there's something that's really important, and we've seen it in the last video, is you don't engage with negative thoughts. You see, when you start going into, let's think this through, I mean, there's times and places for it, but sometimes thoughts can come into your head that are just not going to help you, that are accusatory and deceptive, and guilt-inducing, and often they're not well-founded. And so I would encourage you to do what Jesus does here, away from me, Satan. Because if you have thoughts that you don't want to have, I think it's fair to say that they're not yours, because what's going on here is there's a battle between yourself and something else, especially if you have the Holy Spirit. You know, if you're getting thoughts and temptations and deceptions and accusations that are not of your own mind, that's not something that you think, if you're shocked by it or like, oh, then absolutely it's not yours. So quite simply, get away from me, Satan. Often said, get behind me, Satan, as he says to Peter. We don't know that reference, but we'll get there. Get away from me, Satan. Simple as that. Command, control, take control of these thoughts and these accusations. At the end of the day, who is there in the world that's right to judge you? Yes, we've got judges and their laws and all that. I'm not saying just do what you want, far from it. But ultimately, who can judge your soul? No one but God alone can judge your soul. So don't let thoughts and fears be the judge. Don't fear, as Jesus teaches in other places. Don't fear the one that can harm the body. Fear the one that can destroy the body and soul. And the only person that can do that is God. He's the only one that decides whether you can be saved or not. And he's given us the way to be saved. But again, you'll learn more about this as we keep going. And what is the second thing Jesus says? It is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only. You want to know why so many people don't experience Jesus, the Holy Spirit coming into them? Because that's the one thing they can't let go. It's a challenge to give up yourself. It doesn't sound attractive to give up yourself, to give up control, to put your faith in somebody else. And we may have done it many times and have good reason not to trust people. But when we're talking about Jesus, we're not talking about people, we're talking about God. He's the only one that has never let me down. I can honestly say, he has never let me down. Because he never doesn't make promises that he can't keep. And he doesn't promise things that we think he ought to. And the ultimate result of following Jesus is salvation. It's heaven. And it's a very simple transaction. It's an acceptance that you worship God and serve him only. That's it. That ultimately, when you go to bed at night, you're aware of him and you are able to check in and reflect on how you've lived your life that day and say, okay, right, maybe I wasn't putting God first and serving him only today. And when you wake up the next day, you kind of think to yourself, well, I want to do that today. It's not guilt and shame, but it's the fact that you have a relationship with a living God that loves you. So, quite simply, if you're tempted to do something you know you shouldn't, if you're accused of something that you feel is unjust or unfair, but is getting under your skin, simply say, stay away from me, Satan. And if you're tempted by your own ego, or by power or control, remember that it is written and that Jesus confirms that you have to worship God alone and serve him only. When we do that, it doesn't make our life easy, but it provides peace and security. And it's all about faith in God and his power and his work and the fact that he loves us. Hope this is helpful. God bless.